Hi, I'm Carl Randall and welcome back to the FrontLine Security Podcast. With me today is Marcin, a CCTV expert and one of Get Licensed top trainers. With years of hands-on experience and a passion for teaching, Marcin has helped hundreds of people join the security industry. And today we're going to be talking all about his journey, why CCTV is such an exciting field, and we'll be giving you some tips and tricks for passing the CCTV course. Here's what's coming up.
Because we need to understand that CCTV is not just cameras, it's a control room, they're always connected to someone. You got people missing pretty much every half an hour, I would say.
That's scary. I think we'll open up a whole new can of worms here.
Cameras are high up, they see pretty much everything, and loads of people don't realize the camera's actually watching them.
How do you think AI is going to shape working in CCTV? So, Marcin, first of all, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yes, hello. Yes, I'm quite pleased to be here. Something new to me as well.
So let's start with something a bit different today. Before we talk about your journey and CCTV as a whole, tell me what's your most memorable moment so far working as a CCTV operative?
I guess it's going to be my very first shift as a CCTV operator when I qualified. It was one of the London's Borough Control Centre. Night shift over the weekend. It was Saturday night. So imagine you got nighttime economy. You've got bars, clubs, revelers, drinking people. You've got police incidents on top of it, and then usual traffic and the cancel out of hours service. It was buzzing. It was busy. At first, I thought this is not for me because it's just too much, you know. And by the end of the shift, I feel like actually contributed, and I feel like more up to the build up. I just want to dive in and get some more of it because the shift has gone quick. You work in with various people. Every shift is different. So yeah, that's my most memorable one.
You were definitely thrown into the deep end then.
Yes.
And on that night, do you remember seeing anything or any major altercations or anything?
Oh yes. That's why I remember this. There was a big fight outside of one of the clubs, and then it split into another fight, and then a police officer got assaulted as well. So yeah, it was a quite challenging one to manage. There was 3 operators on a shift, 2 experienced ones plus me, and we all had hands full. So yes, it was a very, very interesting one.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's go back right to the beginning. What made you first join the security industry?
It was a bit of an accident. I was in between jobs, and I always thought to myself, why not try in security business? I couldn't work for the police. I could, but I didn't feel like this is going to be too much. So let's just try diving into security. So I started with those supervision courses. I started working for the major retailer in the UK. From there, obviously, the work involved working with the CCTV footage. So I got the license for CCTV. I've started working with the CCTV, and I found that this is actually much better than working on the field, chasing shoplifters. It's rather, preventing stuff, recognize them, deal with the footage, create the evidence for court proceedings. That was more interesting to me. So yeah, it started with the accident, and then it's just developed into something bigger.
And after working as a door supervisor and then having a taste for life as a CCTV operative, you just thought, okay, CCTV is for me.
Yes. Yeah.
And so how long have you now been working as a CCTV operative?
If you count 2010, so we're looking about 14, going into 15 years now. Obviously, that was just working for the retailer. So it was just doing a bit of both, a mixture, which is kind of interesting because what Get Licensed is doing is you've got those supervisors and security officers courses, and then you got CCTV, which is advisable to have both licenses. So yes, this was a bit of a mixture, but I found CCTV a little bit more interesting, enjoyable. I'd say it's to everyone's taste. Some people feel more confident in customer-faced roles. Some people feel more confident or better at the roles which doesn't involve dealing with the customers face-to-face. It's just sitting in a control room or reviewing. But, yeah.
Each to their own.
Exactly.
And over those 14 years, what kind of places have you worked in?
I work for the major retailers. I've done some corporate security that involves CCTV as well. Big office block and estate as well to look after. I worked for two local authorities, and I worked for Heathrow Airport as well, and utilizing CCTV every single one of them, and control room environment as well. Because we need to understand that CCTV is not just cameras. It's a control room. They're always connected to someone. So it's a control room, and control room environment involves working with the cameras as well as intercoms, phones, radio systems, and liaising the information, passing on the information really. So, yeah. So, yeah, I mean...
Everywhere. Everywhere. I imagine working at somewhere like the Heathrow Airport, you must have seen some crazy things.
With Heathrow Airport, yes. However, I wasn't involved directly with the security of the Heathrow Airport. It was more to do with the baggage systems. Okay, so you got CCTV cameras covering just something which people don't realize. When you're talking about CCTV, people think it's just cameras watching for security purposes. You got cameras watching baggage systems as well. If they perform well, look after the staff well-being as well, working over there, looking at the planes being loaded properly. This is when I actually came across something interesting. One of the airlines working at the Heathrow Airport was actually trialing AI into the cameras to actually monitor the plane stands to see how they serviced. So the idea was the planes are being unmanned. There's no a supervisor, a man on the ground to actually direct tankers or stairs or anything. It's just the cameras overlooking, and then obviously the time passes, the algorithm has actually spotted that there's no tanker on time or there's no stairs on time. You'll flag up the to someone responsible in the control room, and the person will make a phone call. It's like the idea, the concept behind it is like the unmanned tills at the supermarkets.
Yeah. So
you got one employee looking after 6 tills. So that was something interesting for me as well.
And did it all go smoothly?
No, it was loads of errors, mistakes, and So
they scrapped it.
No, it's being developed, and I think it's working now. So it's
It's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
There was actually robots who actually load the baggage to the planes as well. They were on trial as well, which involves loads of cameras and algorithms and sensors and everything. That was interesting as well. So, so it's not just about security and fights on the street, but CCTV. You got cameras everywhere now, in cars. The Magic Electric retailer one. I'm not going to name it. You've got cameras everywhere, and they record all the time. So.
It's scary. It's scary. And out of all those years that you've worked in CCTV so far, what would you say are some of the highlights of your career?
I've got a few rewards. The biggest ones, we got me and my team got recognised by Metropolitan Police in Scotland Yard. We got recognition as a team. We also, our team, been recognised in 2011 as the CCTV Team of the Year for CCTV Users Group. It's one of the panels in London boroughs. Also got rewarded as a Security Officer of the Year for one of the major players in the security business. That was doing corporate security as well. And I think that's the biggest ones. It's probably a couple of few small ones, but yeah.
I mean, those are definitely highlights for sure. And to you, what is the most rewarding thing about working in CCTV?
I think it's just being able to assist and help, being part of a bigger system and just assist the emergency services dealing with the incidents. It could be something small like a missing person, or it could be something bigger like high caliber crimes. So yeah, sometimes CCTV is not just about watching and moving the cameras and joystick. It's about reviewing the footage, loads of it, helping, assisting, analyzing, getting the expertise to the police officer, saying, because the police officer don't know where the cameras are located, what they're looking at, what sort of angle, how can you get 2 or 3 footages from different cameras combined together. So yes.
You mentioned there dealing with missing persons. Talk to me a bit more about that.
London is very congested area in terms of populations, and you got people missing pretty much every half an hour, I would say. So it could be something as simple as a lost child while you're doing the shopping. It could be a person with a mental health issues. It could be an elderly person. It could be anyone. These people just go astray, and London is quite busy. It's very easy to get on the bus and just, find themselves other part of London in a few minutes. Especially for loads of students and foreigners who are not familiar with the surroundings, you don't speak good English as well. You can just easily get lost. So, so that involves literally just searching lifetime or reviewing the cameras. If you got some intel from the police when the person was last seen, or they got information from TfL sometimes when the Oyster card has been used, so you can go back to a bus stop or station or something, see if the person's entered the station or left the station, so it's analyzing the information and yes, using your skills to actually help and assist.
And have you yourself ever found a missing person?
Oh yes, yeah. Very often we're successful, with pinpointing or finding a person. I think the most memorable one was and very heart melting was the little girl and then handwritten card with a hard written and thank you being delivered actually through the police to us.
And how did she go missing?
The parents were doing shopping, and there was 3 kids they were looking after, and she just started, browsing, walked away, and then they couldn't find it. It wasn't a shopping center; it was actually a street, and she just gone to the park and started swinging on the swing, and we've just tracked her back all the way and found her in the park.
I can imagine that's a huge red flag as well when you are looking at the CCTV screens and the monitors, if you do see a small child by themselves.
Yeah.
What's the protocol there? Do you just instantly...
You would look after there's always a team of operators, 2 or 3 on the shift. So your colleague or yourself, you're just going to be monitoring live and probably call the police and just make them aware whether you come across a child which is not being supervised, and one of the colleagues would just go back on the footage, just review the cameras, go back to see where the child come from, and try to find the parents. Sometimes it's very simple; just parents are just inside of a shop, and the kid is just outside, and it's just very simple one. But sometimes it's a challenging one, but police needs to actually arrive and take care of the child.
And I can imagine as well there's many challenges working in CCTV. What do you find are the toughest things with the role are, and how do you overcome them?
The toughest one is you sitting and you seeing something happening, a crime, and you can't stop it. The cameras haven't got the hands. You can actually use the joystick and grab someone or stop the perpetrator or attacker. You can only just watch and rely on the information, and it's a very frustrating one because at times emergency services obviously they're not based around the corner. It takes them 5-10 minutes to arrive, and that 5-10 minutes is very crucial. And you see something happening, knife related, for example. And yes, you can't just stand up and walk away from it because you don't like what you see. It's like when you're sitting in the cinema, you don't like the film or a main character, you just stand up and just go. And this one, you can't. You create, most of the time, the cameras are linked directly to a police command control center. And while you operating the cameras, you're helping assisting them to get a better response. So you can't just move the camera away, zoom out, or just say, I'm not doing this. You just got to be there full time and watch what is happening. So it's not for everyone.
I can imagine it's very emotionally taxing. So how do you deal with that post-incident?
You just need to sit down after each incident and have a proper debrief. So it's good to talk about it with your more experienced colleagues, break it down. Obviously, it's a good moment as well to see how can you improve service to given to the police or other parties. But I think the main reason is just to talk about it, get it off your chest, see if you're very well or you need some assistance. I think a good what helps me personally is exercising, so a gym. And straight away after such an incident, you just need to go for a walk, get some fresh air, and
A release.
Yeah, release it.
So on the flip side, we've already mentioned that there are so many positives. You can help save missing people. But I'm sure that in your career, you've seen some weird and wonderful things.
Oh, yes. Cameras are high up. They see pretty much everything. And loads of people don't realize the camera's actually watching them. And they just go about their lives. And you see the funny moments starting from basically maybe females doing the makeup while they're driving the car. Hopefully when they stop on the red light. You see sexual intercourse in the park from young people. And then you see traffic situations. You see some street carnivals as well. So you see loads of dancing. Obviously, you can't hear the music. It'd be good to have maybe microphones to do some of the cameras. So one of the interesting ones was actually monitoring and seeing King Charles visit to Ealing Borough, which I currently work for. And it's like having your own set of cameras, and then you can see different angles. You can zoom in and see interesting facts.
And what's the craziest thing that you've seen?
I think the craziest one is probably when a car was driven erratically. I think it turned out to be a drink drive. The car actually went off the road through the shop window into the hair salon and wrecked the whole building. The whole building above 2 stories. The resident had to be evacuated because it was unsafe for them to stay there. And it was literally just 3 seconds. The car, you can see, is being driven fast and just going through the shop window and wrecking the whole building. So it just shows you the laws of physics, how quickly something can escalate.
It's crazy. And again, obviously, you've got years and years of experience. So for anybody who is starting out their career in security or want to progress to higher up roles, what advice would you give them?
If you want to step into the CCTV world, you just got to ask yourself a question, okay? How good are you at the multitasking? Are you okay watching some crazy, funny, but terrifying stuff as well? And because that's not for everyone. People think of CCTV as, okay, it's an office building or it's a shopping center, people passing by, access control, vehicles. No, not necessarily. Yes, and most of the time you're sitting there, the CCTV is recording, you're moving the cameras, it's all fine. 90% of the time it's fine, but that 10% can be very challenging and stressful, and you got to be ready for it. So it's not for everyone, and yes.
100%. And are there any habits or skills that you'd recommend that people work on to obviously help them get better at the role as well?
Yeah, so I mentioned multitasking is very important because you're dealing with sometimes 2 or 3 incidents at the same time, as well as your colleague. Good communication, good team player. this is something which, yes, it's very important when you're working in the control room. You just got to work with your wingman, and the relationship needs to be there. You can't just double check everything. So you just got to trust your partner. He's dealing with the other part of the incident, and you're dealing with other part. And 2 or 3 of you just have good set of communication command and work as a one tool. So this is very challenging. Multitasking, team player, everything else you can probably just get experience on.
I can imagine, yeah, trusting your team is incredibly important. Yes. So now moving on to CCTV as a whole, what would you say, what makes CCTV such an important role in the security industry?
As we mentioned earlier, you've got cameras pretty much everywhere these days. You've got the on-street ones, which are to start with. You've got cameras on your mobile phones. You've got cameras built in the cars. You've got drones. You've got body-worn cameras now being used by security industry. So there's loads of information being recorded. And first, the thing is, how can you use this information? How can you transform it into something better and improve? So how can you use the CCTV to actually protect or prevent something happening, maybe? So that's something interesting from CCTV. Lots of people see CCTV as being intrusive, okay? Especially people who are got their mind set on, it's my private stuff, it's my private life. I don't want to disclose this. I don't want to be watched. I can assure you that no one's watching you without the reason, okay? There's always reason behind it. And if there's just a monitoring or something, you've got nothing to be afraid of. It's for your own good sake. And future of CCTV, AI, that's coming. We trialing some of the cameras as well, and I read about it. I'm involved with the project as well. So it's something interesting to come up with.
And you mentioned there that people are concerned with CCTV cameras and think they're always being watched. And I know the laws are covered in more detail, of course, in the CCTV course. But for anyone watching, could you give a quick overview of the laws around CCTV?
CCTV is very heavily guarded by legislation. You've got Data Protection Act to start with. You've got GDPR, some parts of a GDPR, which affects information handling, evidence handling. You've got Police PACE Act. You've got as well as Private Security Industry Act and SIA, Security Industry Authority, and the Code of Conduct.
There's so many laws. So basically when someone says, you can't be watching me, there's always a reason, isn't there?
Yes.
And it is fine.
That's the main rule, working as a CCTV operator. As long as you get a reason for using the camera, then you're absolutely fine.
You also mentioned earlier a little bit about AI and how that's shaping the world of CCTV and security as well. Obviously, you said it's coming to airports, and you're involved in some projects that we might be able to discuss. But I've seen it in supermarkets with the facial recognition trackers and stuff. How do you think AI is going to shape working in CCTV?
My personal opinion is going to assist greatly working and obtaining the footage or dealing with footage or solving the crimes, anything security-minded is going to help. Loads of people, privacy-minded, going to see this as a threat. And they right to believe that. Obviously, AI is there, but it will never be as good as the human being who's got common sense. Yes, AI is common. It's being heavily used, being trialed, and like I mentioned, something to do with surveillance in the airplane, or it could actually police trialing facial recognition now, which is being widely discussed, and there's loads of voices against. I think countries like China, they got it built up so heavily on their everyday lives. It's like you're crossing the lights you're crossing the street on the red light, and then you just get some tickets sent home straight away automatically. I don't want to go back to that because that's a bit too much. We're going into that nightmare which George Orwell has mentioned in his book. But AI can assist with processing the footage. For example, let's give you an example. The elderly person missing and is missing since 2 weeks. So imagine there's 2 weeks of footage from 20, 50 cameras to review for the officer to actually find a single track of that person, to find the whereabouts of this person. Do you know how much time it takes? Even if you fast forward this.
Days.
Exactly. Then you got AI algorithm. You can just program it to see, I don't know, someone with a walking stick or someone with a posture or a certain gait, the way it works. And then you would just throw through the footage and just pick up bits and pieces. And then human being can actually see if that's the person or not. So it can just greatly assist.
So basically, as long as you're not doing anything wrong, it should be fine.
Yes. Yeah.
Only those who are trying to commit a crime should be worried, and rightly so.
Well, AI can be used as well in a commercial way, okay? Not necessarily to do good things to the customers. So there are good and bad things of AI.
What do you mean by that?
Retailers can actually see, check your shopping behaviors, how much you can spend time in a shop, what you're actually browsing, how you're behaving. All right. So, do you want to be watched like this? Do you want to?
This is scary. I think we're opening up a whole new can of worms here.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one is probably less intrusive, but then you got the more difficult ones as well, where the AI is actually analyzing. You mentioned China as an example of actually controlling people much.
I'm sure we can talk about AI.
Yeah, don't want to go into politics because that's going to go into international scandals soon or something.
I'm sure we can talk about AI and how it's going to change the world for hours. But let's go back to CCTV and working in CCTV, starting your career in CCTV. What would you recommend to somebody first setting foot into a CCTV control room and beginning their career?
It's good to have some sort of security experience, definitely, because you will make it very easy for you, but not very easy, but easier to start. And because CCTV, it's doing exactly the same, is protecting people or protecting assets while just using the cameras or systems. So yes, good to start maybe from DS, those supervisors or security officer courses, and then just you can go straight into CCTV. There's no requirement, and you can just do a CCTV course and focus mainly on CCTV if you want, not a problem at all. But then obviously it will take you a little bit more to get into the security standards and everything. And it's good because loads of the time CCTV operator sits in the control room and he is the eyes of the people on the ground, which are the security guards, those supervisors. Okay, if you know what they're doing, it makes your life easier, and vice versa. So I think it works for both ways. It's good to have the CCTV as a second license when you're working as a door supervisor or security officer. So it gives you more flexibility as well. And
Yeah, we always say having both licenses or as many licenses as you can basically helps you progress and climb through the ranks basically.
Yeah, definitely. There's loads of establishments, businesses who do both. And on my courses, very often I got learners asking questions that, you're sitting there for 11 hours just in a closed environment. How you cope with this? And I'll say, it's daunting sometimes. But how they actually come across this one is they work for some retailers or, I don't know, some office blocks, and they do split shifts. So it's like 2 hours in a control room, controlling the cameras, 1 hour, 2 hours patrolling. Yeah, can work as well. Why not?
So that's why it's good to have
Both.
both licenses.
Give you more choices, more flexibility, or more employable, and employees going to see you as a greater asset to their team.
100%. Now let's talk a little bit about the actual training course itself. So you are a trainer. How long have you been teaching the CCTV course for?
That's over nearly a year now. I'm going to get license, yes, and doing the courses and teaching.
And for anybody who is interested in taking the CCTV course, could you give a quick overview of what they should expect?
The CCTV course is run over 3 days. Okay, first 2 days it's a classroom-based lecture interaction. So the first day you got principals working on security. Second day it's practical use of the CCTV system, knowing to legislation around it, how you actually deal with incidents, how you operate it with hands-on. And the third day you got the practical assessment and written exams. So 3 days in total. First 2 days you can do as a classroom, or you can do it online over the Zoom if you like. As choice is yours.
What do people seem to prefer, online or in the classroom?
Me as a trainer, I prefer classroom because you've got this interaction with the learners. You can make an assessment very quickly, see if someone's need extra help with something because he's struggling. With the Zoom ones, online ones, they good because you don't need to travel. You don't need to commute anywhere. You don't need to, you just at the pace of your own room, just dial in, and they're good as well. Don't get me wrong, but I prefer the interaction, and challenging discussion with the learners. So 2 days classroom or online. Third day, then you come in on the third day for the practical and
I think it depends how you learn, really.
As well.
So what would you say is your top tip for passing? For anyone who is taking the course, your number one tip for passing?
The practical assessment, people get very paralyzed because there's like camera recording, the practical assessment. My advice, just forget about the camera. Just forget about anything. Just sharpen your ears. The trainers are there to guide you through. Let us just, give us your virtual hand. We just guide you through. Okay? Nothing to be worried about. And there's enough time for practicing to explain everything. Ask questions, challenge. That's the key. Okay?
Is that where most people fail? Is it the practical assessment or is it the written?
The written tests, you gotta just practice as well. And Get License got a good application with the mock tests as well. It's good to actually go through this and try some of the questions, not necessarily on the last day, just before the written exams, because it could just mess out your knowledge and everything. But it's good to have it maybe on the first or second day, and then if you come across a difficult question, just challenge the one of the trainers, myself or other trainers, and then we can just discuss this widely with the group. So that will just help you out. With the written ones, we haven't got much influence, as a trainers. I mean, we obviously, we're responsible for giving you the knowledge and guide you through.
Yeah, so basically just practice,
Yes,
mock exams. So they're all available on the GuardPass app.
Yeah.
We have them for the CCTV course, DS course, security officer course. So I always say it, help me with my DS course as well. And hopefully I will be doing my CCTV course this year, maybe with yourself.
Come and join us, no problem.
And what would you say is the most common mistake that people do make on the course, which ends up leading them to failing?
I'd say not paying attention to the practical bit, to actual moment when there's your time to actually practice, ask questions. Yes, the practical is not very difficult, but there are certain things you need to basically show on the camera that you can perform to start your journey with the CCTV. And this are not very difficult to do, but they just take time. What people tend to do is most of the time they will just wander off. Okay, they try to be too good on the practical. Okay, they focus on a person, tracking the person when the trainer is telling them to do something else. And yeah, my advice to you: just listen. Yeah, get your ears, get your hearing sharpened, and just listen to what the trainer is telling you. We're there to guide you through.
That's a good tip. And after completing the course, what are you finding are the most common jobs people are going into after getting the CCTV license?
CCTV is being used everywhere. So you can start retail, you can start in the corporate security, you can work for a local authority, control rooms, you can work for emergency services, London Fire Brigade, London Ambulance Service, Metropolitan Police, or any forces. You could probably dive into the army because they got cameras as well. Traffic management, so the highways, Transport for London, anything.
So many jobs, football stadiums,
Yes.
the list is endless.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before that you've been training now for over a year. So what would you say is the best thing about being a trainer?
Seeing a happy face after passing the exam. Sometimes you hear from your learners that they actually passed through. You get some good feedback. And and good to have a good vibe with the group while you're training. And when they challenge, when they ask questions, that makes the whole course more interesting, because you're asking questions, I'm answering, other people are listening, okay, and they come across something else, and so on and so on and so on. So it's good to have an interaction, in interest, and yes, and seeing that someone's actually passed and joined the security and CCTV world.
Yeah, I can imagine that is very, very rewarding. So Marcin, thank you very much. It's been brilliant to pick your brains on all things CCTV. But before we finish, I've got one final question for you. If you could have access to a CCTV camera anywhere in the world, past or present, where would you have it?
I would probably install a camera in a print room, a printing facility where they do scratch cards, because before they get layered with covered.
I like that.
On a serious note, I would put maybe a body-worn camera or hidden camera on Madeleine McCann.
That would be crazy, yeah.
It's, I think, 17 or nearly 18 years since she vanished. And
yeah, a lot of the conspiracy theorists as well would be happy with that as well.
So, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. I think I would go for, is it Area 51 in America? I think that's a bit nerdy one to say, but yeah, maybe I'll go there and see what's actually going on inside.
This would be a challenging one.
Yeah, well, that's part of the question. You can put it anywhere in the world. If anyone watching, please leave a comment as well where you would put your CCTV camera. But that's all from us, Marcin. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. I hope I wasn't too boring. And see you on the courses, guys.